The excitement was overwhelming. My grandson Noah was coming to visit me here in Seattle, and I had been counting down the days. At 22, he was in college and living in Philadelphia with his parents, so I didn't get to see him nearly as often as I'd like. But today was special. It was my day. I spent the morning bustling around my little house, fluffing pillows that didn't need fluffing and wiping down the counters repeatedly. When the doorbell finally rang, I practically ran to answer it. There stood Noah, smiling wide, but he wasn't alone. Beside him was another young man about his age. He was tall, black, and had a shy smile, as though he wasn't sure he should be there. "Grandma?" Noah said, rubbing the back of his neck in that nervous way of his. "This is my friend Darius. I kind of brought him with me. Hope that's okay." I blinked, surprised, but quickly smiled. "Well, of course it's okay. Come on in, both of you." As they stepped inside, Noah explained, "Darius is my roommate at school. His parents are splitting up, and he didn't really have anywhere to go this summer. I figured instead of him just hanging around campus, he could come here, if that's all right." I laughed. "Honey, I live alone. Having the two of you here sounds wonderful. I'm not about to let someone's summer be miserable if I can help it. You're both welcome." Darius smiled, his expression softening. "Thank you, Mum," he said quietly. "Call me Madison," I corrected with a grin. "None of that mom business now. Are you too hungry? I made way too much food as usual." Lunch was perfect. Classic grandma food. I made roast with mashed potatoes and gravy, and my famous apple pie was cooling on the counter for dessert. We sat around my small dining table, and the conversation flowed effortlessly. Noah, as always, had stories for days, most of which involved Darius. "You wouldn't believe this guy, Grandma," Noah said, gesturing toward Darius with a forkful of mashed potatoes. "Every time we're out, women just flock to him. It's ridiculous. He's like a human magnet. I despise him." He said it with a grin, clearly joking, and Darius just chuckled, shaking his head. "I can't help it if I'm charming," Darius said with a playful smile that could have powered the house. I couldn't help but notice how true it was. Darius had this natural confidence, not arrogant, just effortless. His voice was rich and smooth, like a late-night radio host. And his face. He could have been a movie star, with sharp features and flawless, deep brown skin. His lips were full and soft-looking, and goodness, what was I thinking? I realized I'd been staring, my mouth slightly open. Darius must have noticed because he cleared his throat. Snapping out of it, I blurted, "I was just, thinking about dinner for you two." Noah gave me a strange look, but thankfully he didn't press the issue. Darius just chuckled, and I tried to shake off whatever spell I'd fallen under. After lunch, we moved to the front yard with coffee in hand, enjoying the sunshine. My lawn, admittedly, was overdue for some attention. Darius glanced around and grinned. "Miss Madison, we need to trim your bushes. They're getting out of control." I nearly choked on my coffee. "Excuse me?" He laughed, raising his hands. "I meant the lawn. Look, there's grass growing everywhere. Why don't Noah and I take care of it for you?" "Oh," I said, feeling my cheeks flush. "Right, the lawn. Sure, if you don't mind." "Not at all," Noah chimed in, heading for the tools in the shed. As they worked, I sat on the patio, fanning myself lightly and watching. Noah tackled the hedges with more enthusiasm than skill, muttering about how I'd let them grow wild. Meanwhile, Darius mowed the lawn with precision, his movements steady and confident. His white t-shirt began clinging to him as sweat dampened the fabric, revealing the definition of his lean, muscular frame. I tried not to stare, but my eyes had a mind of their own. My heart swelled, not just with admiration, but with something I couldn't quite name. It felt absurd. I was 67, long past the age of entertaining such thoughts. And yet there I was, watching Darius and feeling alive in a way I hadn't in years. When they finished, Darius walked over, wiping his forehead. "Miss Madison," he said with a mischievous grin. "It was nice trimming your bushes. Call me any time they grow back." Caught off guard, I replied without thinking, "Well, it's been years since anyone took care of my bushes. It feels good to have someone around." Darius chuckled, and I felt my cheeks grow hotter. What was I doing? I quickly changed the subject and thanked them both for their hard work, giving Noah a crisp $100 bill as a tip. Later that evening, as the house quieted down, I found myself restless. The energy of the day had stirred something in me, a longing I hadn't felt in years. As I lay in bed, my thoughts kept drifting back to Darius. His laugh, his smile, the